Okay, good morning all. Welcome back to the fun. It is Tuesday morning. I'm going to get a late start to work today because I've got to take my daughter to school, but I figured I've got a couple of hours to be productive here. I would say a couple hours to burn, but I'm not burning it. I'm trying to make it useful. So this is the rear brake master cylinder from the Silverwing. I'm going to pull this apart this morning, put the rebuild kit in there, and hopefully if all goes well, I'll be repeating that process immediately on the right side one, which is the front brake master cylinder. So anyway, it's already off the bike, obviously. I cracked this nut loose before I removed the cylinder from the bike. That way I had a leverage point. If those are on there real tight and you don't have this secured with anything, you've at least got to hang on to the lever, have a fulcrum. So cap nut comes off the bottom, which is just a jam nut, and then the post unscrews from the top. Get on there. Oh, be good. You could always remove the lever before you pull this off the bike, but yeah, whatever. And I don't know if you can see me dripping sweat, but yes, it's really hot out here already. It's already 80 something with a 96% humidity. Good stuff. Okay, so levers are in good shape, no problems. Clean those up. When I put it back together, I don't know if that shows up on camera, but there's a brass bushing in this that helps it slide smoothly. So you just put a little bit of magic red goo, some kind of bearing grease or whatever on the pivot and the inside of the bushing there, and you're good to go. But the real fun is going to be dismantling the little boot right here, and then the piston and circlip. There's a circlip that holds that in. Try not to tear this just in case I have to reuse something. Let me get my kit out and make sure of what I've got so I don't screw myself and end up having to buy new parts. Because I can't get those right away. There's no way. I might be able to get it overnighted, but that's going to be expensive. Okay, get this junk out of my way. Where are my master cylinder kits? Shoved all the stuff under my seat to have it for safekeeping, and sure enough, there it is. So I got my front rebuild 45530 MN9305 and the rear rebuild. I don't know why they're different. I guess there's something different about the cylinder arrangement in there, but yes, I do have a new boot, so I don't have to worry about tearing this one. Cool. So that's really all it is you, the whole kit comes with everything in one shot. You could buy the individual pieces, but that's silly. These are like 25 or 30 bucks direct from, you know, real Honda part. It's got the boot on there. It's got the two O-ring / wipes, the piston itself, and then the circlip. So make it easy. Now, generally speaking, this is a pretty easy job, as long as you don't run into really corroded cylinder over here where your get off where your ring is. And I don't know, I probably should go get a flashlight so I can show that on camera. It's pretty crusty in there. Every now and then that can get so crusted up that you got to dig it out and soak it in brake cleaner and stuff like that before you can get your little circlip out of there. So let me get a flashlight. Okay, I'm back, armed with a flashlight and a gun cleaning kit. I use my gun cleaning kit, one of my many gun cleaning kits, I should say. Pistol caliber works great. You know, one of these M&P 22 through 45 caliber. They're awesome because these brass brushes are what I use. I try not to tear up the bristle brushes, so I've got old toothbrushes for that, but these brass bore brushes work great for cleaning out the master cylinder bores. So yeah. Anywho, let's move that over there. Show you. Oop, that's a little bright. That's a middle one. So hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. Let's see if I can get you on camera. The flicker of the flashlight's going to mess it up, isn't it? Okay, we'll go full brightness and you'll kind of see it's pretty crusty in there. So I'm going to scrape it out a little bit with a screwdriver and then pop that circlip out, and we'll pull the piston. Don't have my circlip pliers, but I think I can make do with these. Let's screw. I don't know if you can see that. Crusty glycerin. Leaky brake fluid. I guess that's okay for a 20-year-old bike. I know they've never been rebuilt, so I've changed the fluid on this bike a few times over the years. About every 4 years I do it. I think you're supposed to do it every 2 years or whatever, but this bike has been sitting now for at least 6. Not really steadily being ridden. It's actually been longer than that. It's been almost 10 years, I guess, because I've lived here in Katy for 10 years. And I stopped commuting with the bike and riding it a lot in 2015, 2016. So it's been a good 8 years. Getting a little crusty. Okay, let's see if I can get it with these pliers. If I can't, then gotta go find my circlip pliers. The little pin holes are tiny on there. I don't know if that's going to come out on camera or not. They're pretty small, so I need to find my circlip pliers. Okay, I found some old crusty ones that are missing a handle. Let's pull it apart. Go the other way with it. Little reversible ones. Oh, am I on the right side? That's the correct side. So I'm prying inward, outward. Which way am I going? Which way am I going? Yeah. Yep, definitely that way. Get. I don't know where my nice ones are. They have the little flip lever in the center. Reverses the direction. Just changes the cam offset. These are a little fiddly to get together as I fumble and fumble on camera. Oh, get in the hole, man. Get in the hole. It's rusty, so it doesn't want to go in there. Oh! Go! Go! Stop messing with me. It helps to talk to your tools. Lets you get that frustration out so you don't break something, you know. Holy shit, this one's messed up. It's just refusing to go. I think the threads are flatted out or something. Oh! Okay, screw this one. I've got others. I wanted to use those little 90-degree monkeys because they'd be easy, but I guess it's going to be these. So, which way are we going? We are squeezing. Okay, let's try these. See if these fit. You're not going to be able to see much. I can barely see much. I need my headlamp because it's just too dark. Oh, I'm just pouring sweat. 9 o'clock in the morning. Pouring. I mentioned it before. I don't know what it would be like to live in an area with less humidity than this. I mean, I'm so used to suffering in this heat here in Houston. It's not the heat as much as it's the humidity, but goodness, it's brutal. I do need the 90-degree ones, dang it. I had the same problem with my CB500 master cylinder. These little circlips are at an angle in here, and you just can't quite get the pins on them. Oh, you get it, but you can't get it, you know? You know? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This one would be ideal if I could just get it to behave itself. Maybe. Yeah, see, okay, so the problem getting these apart as I kick the camera, the shroud down here is in the way, and this thing has gotten spun the wrong direction, so I'm going to have to pull it around because I don't have any jaw leverage with either of the tools. So now comes the fun of, can he rotate the circlip? Probably not. It's crusted in. Great. Great! Welcome to the fun. I'm trying to keep you on camera while I can also see what I'm doing, and I'm having a great time at that. So I do apologize for the shoddy cameraman action. Come on. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Don't you want to go home? Don't you know where your home is? Name that movie. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to decrustify this thing and rotate that ring. Okay, I uncrustied it a little bit, and I found another set of pliers. I still didn't find my fancy ones, but these are a little better, and I think I'm getting an angle on it. I need to change the tip again because I can't get enough depth for rotating, you know. But I got one side of it popped out. I'm just about to get the other side. I'll pull these cheap Pittsburghs apart and show you how they work. Oops, I say I will. You push the little pin, and it rotates this little eccentric locking monkey in there, and you change the tips out. Let's see what I got here. What's going to be the smaller set of tips? That one will work good right there. Put those back on there. Get on. Get on. Hey! Thank you. I don't even know if you're on camera. Alright, set that guy. Oop, need a spring. Hey! This back down through there. If it will cooperate. Push that through the bottom and set it 90 degrees, and now I got a different set of tips. They're okay. They're cheap. I got them at Harbor Freight. I can't find my good ones. My good ones are snap-ons, and I don't know where I put them. I do have them, because I saw them when my toolbox tipped over a few weeks ago in the pile of crap on the floor. I got one tip. I got the tip in, man, just the tip. There. Oh, I spun it, but I didn't get it out. Well, that's good enough out. Let's see if I can convince the rest of it without damaging anything. It is cockeyed in there, and it just doesn't want to come out. It's very rusty, and now that it's at an angle, I really can't get a hold of that other side. So now it's a little game. I don't care if I destroy it, I just don't want to damage the master cylinder. I've got another one. Another ring, that is. Okay, so anyway, I got it pried up. I'm going to grab it with that other side there and see if I get lucky. It just is in the wrong place, period. Because I can't angle backwards. That's the deal. That's why I was trying to rotate it, but rotating, not so easy. I don't have enough ground here. Well, I think it's just going to be a destruction game. We're just going to get a hold of it and give it the I told you so. I ain't asking. There we go. Hopefully I didn't just damage anything in there. Okay, so now that that's free, you can pull the piston out, and it's still covered in a little bit of brake fluid slime, so I'm going to spray that off over here in the pail next to me. Okay, so that's that. Came apart. Really dead seals. You can see all the, I don't know if that's coming out on camera, but you can see all the scale and corroded brake fluid that's just kind of gumming up the outer seal there, and that's the one that's obviously leaking. This is the pump seal, that's the outer seal. So, yep, anywho, time to put the fresh one together. I'm going to take the brass brushes and go through this bore in here, see if I can get you on camera with some light. So clean up all the crusties, clean that out, scrub the inside of it out with a toothbrush, and get it all clean and ready to go. Okay, getting all set up here to do the dirty part. I should note that the Honda brake rebuild, or the master cylinder rebuild kit, does not come with banjo bolts or the sealing washers or anything like that, so take care not to lose those or damage those. These crush washers are usually brass, but in Honda's case, these look like they're stainless steel, or maybe some kind of a mild steel that's chrome plated, or I can't tell. They're not rusted or oxidized or anything, so I'm guessing they're just stainless steel. Anywho, I'm going to clean these up and also clean up this banjo bolt. The thing to note, I don't know if it comes out on camera, see if I can see if the camera is active. That oiling hole right there and the one in the end, you want to make sure that that orifice is clear and debrided of any crap that might be in there. You can probably see the crusty threads here, so I'm going to scrub all that down with a brush and get it cleaned up. That way you don't introduce more of those little glycerin granules in your brand new clean brake job. So yeah, anyway, clean all this up. And I've got my handy dandy 45 caliber bore brush here, and it's not quite big enough to create a lot of friction in there, but it does you know, hit the walls pretty good, so you can, you know, kind of go at angles and clean this up. And it's brass, so it's not going to tear up your aluminum too much. You want to be real gentle with this. Don't go hacking away, because if you enlarge or score up the inner surface of this aluminum bore here, you're going to introduce leaks that your seals won't be able to compensate for. Get some of the surface crap off of there. See what I'm working with. Yeah, there's some crusty stuff right here at the front end. I don't know if it's going to come out on camera because my lighting is not the best. But yeah, it's going to take a little elbow grease to get this done. I'm going to find my little screwdriver to use as a pick, but I'm not using it as a sharp pick. I'm going to go flat along the sealing ridge here and try to break up that oxidation, not introduce any deep scratches while I'm at it. Just make sure you keep it flat. This isn't a leak surface, this is just for the circlip, but you get my drift, you get my drift. Clean all this crap out of there. So, it'll take time. I probably won't do it all on camera because it takes me longer to illustrate the process than it does to get the job done. Okay, there it is, all cleaned up. Tackled it with it's cold, it's condensing, it's so humid out here. Tackled it with the brass brushes, a little bit with the steel brush here on some of the nasty stuff, but not on any sealing surface. Used some green Scotch-Brite and brake cleaner to clean up where the banjo bolt and the sealing washers go, and also the top surface here where there was a lot of corrosion, so that's all smooth. You could use very fine sandpaper or something like that, but I prefer to use green Scotch-Brites because they're not highly abrasive. They'll get rid of a lot of contaminants without destroying your metal or introducing grooves and nasty stuff. So anywho, all cleaned up. Now I'm going to do the reassembly, and hopefully it all goes smooth. Okay, so I'm going to start putting this together. I don't have a fresh bottle of Dot 4. This was old. It's been open now for probably, I don't know, better than a year, and you shouldn't do that. You should always use Dot 4 that has been sealed and not open, because this stuff is hydrophilic. It does attract water and degrades. That's how you get all that crystallization and nasty stuff. So anyway, I'm just going to use this to kind of wet the parts as I'm putting them together on the little piston here. Just a tiny bit of brake fluid to lubricate the cylinder and the seals as they go in. Not really necessary, just I'm anal retentive, why not? And then I'll go get a fresh bottle of Dot 4 over at one of the motorcycle shops. Probably Wild West. Had a recent not so nice experience at Cycle Gear, and I'm mad at them right now. I ain't gonna go. They can't have my money. Put a little bit on the seals here. Stuff's not really good for your hands or your skin. You shouldn't do this without gloves, but whatever. As soon as it hits my skin, it always feels warm. It's a weird sensation. That's why I don't like going in dry, because it's a little bit tight. No jokes there. No jokes. I'm talking about the cylinder here. I'm talking about the master cylinder. Dirty-minded freaks, you. Don't want to damage that seal going in dry. A little wiggle and a twist, and she going home? Yeah, she's going home. Okay, cool. So that's set. I'm going to get this stuff off of my skin because it feels weird. Then we'll put the circlip on the top of that, facing the right way this time. Factory must have put it on there wrong. And then the other thing that I do, it's not, I don't even know if it's in the manual, it's just a practice of mine. I load this boot up with silicone brake grease, the same stuff that you put on the on your pins and your calipers and stuff like that, and it just acts as an extra water barrier and helps slow down that oxidation, nasty crap going on in there. So if it's not part of the manual, you probably should do it. I always do. It works. It does a good job. And then the manual says when you put the assembly back together, you're supposed to put a little bit of lube or something right here on the friction point between the piston and the lever. That silicone brake goo is fine, or you can use bearing grease, whatever. Let's get the pliers loaded up, hopefully facing the right way, and I really hope this thing doesn't go walkabout across my garage. Don't put tension on them until you've got them close to the hole and facing away from you, because they go toing. Ask me how I know. Hey, see, like that. If you slip off, that thing is going walkabout. You're never going to find it. Then you're screwed. You got to start your job over. Yeah, these pliers are not, these jaws aren't thick enough. I'm going to have to do different jaws. They're flexing. They're twisting as I'm trying to torque that, so I need to find different jaws or just use different pliers. These work for getting it out, but not for going back in. I think she's in there. I think so. And I've still got room to maneuver the pliers. It's almost like magic. Oh, you get in there. Get in there. Did he get it set? No, back edge is not in. You want to make sure you get that thing seated all the way in the groove. I don't know if that comes out on camera. So it's very close. Usually a screwdriver tap and convincing will get it in there. And then once you know, or you think that it's in there, you can grab your snap ring pliers and squeeze just a little bit, not enough to unseat it. Squeeze a little bit and see if you can rotate the circlip. If you can, then that means it's in the groove all the way around. If it's really tight, you haven't made the groove. If I can even get the pliers back on this silly thing. I'm trying to do it on camera and it's harder. It's easier to do it standing up. Get the job done, man. Get the job done. Stop talking. Yeah, she's in the groove. It rotated just fine. So that's that. She's doing, good to go. So it's time to reassemble this thing, put it back on the bars, and fill it up. And then I'll reset my rear slave cylinder on the front pad, or front caliper that I blew out. What a dummy. Greasy. This stuff's great. It's automotive. You can use it on motorcycles too. But the problem that I've had with this CRC Silverwing is it leaks out its liquid portion of the silicone goo everywhere. You can see how wet this is. If this thing tips over on your shelf, it's going to drip out all the clear liquid goo portion of the silicone all over everything. I mean, all over everything. So I'm just going to put a little bit right here on the piston. I'll smear that around with a screwdriver, and then I'm going to line the inside of this with a little bit more as a water barrier, and we're good to go. Good enough. Doesn't need to be super thick, slathered in, not full, just enough to kind of seal up this area and slow down the inevitable brake fluid corrosion, you know. I don't know if it's in the manual or not. I've never seen it in there. Never really looked for it. That's how I do it. If you do it differently, good on you. Keep doing it. I figure that's standard procedure for all of the other brake sliding components, so why not do it on your master cylinder boots, because they're doing the same thing as the rest of the brake components, sliding in and out under hydraulic pressure with silicone goo in there to keep them from corroding and squeaking and making noise. So hey, do it all the way around, man. Why not? Okay, she's back together, and now I'll put the lever back on it, put it on the bars, and banjo bolt it. Red goo. Put it down there in the pivot, and on the pivot pin. Don't need near that much, so the rest of that's going back in the bucket of goo. Whoa, that's a lot of goo. I suppose I could goo this. Why not? Your sliding surfaces here. Good enough. Yeah, that'll work. On the top of that, on the bottom of that. Wipe away the excess with a rag when I'm done. Good enough. Now I need to degoo my fingers before it gets on my clothes, because it never comes out of your clothes. Warning to the wise. Okay. Pivot pin. Get in there. Get. Oh, you want to get. You trust me now. Trust me when I tell you, you want to get. Oh, line up. You got to put pressure on it to get the bottom thread. There it goes. I haven't tightened this up yet. Obviously, it's swinging around on me. Okay. A screwdriver. And just putting everything together loose right now until I get it all sorted. Okay, she's lightly snug. Ooh, listen. That's a dry piston in there, so don't do that much. I'm going to drop a couple of drops of oil down in this thing, or brake fluid rather, so we don't destroy those seals right away. Put my pinch bolt on the bottom before I lose it. Okay, so now I'll tighten all this up. The brake banjo is here. I'm probably going to spray it because it's real corroded. You guys can't see it from your angle. It's really nasty right in here, so I'm going to clean this up with a brass brush, and I'm going to spray brake cleaner down the line to just kind of break up whatever other crap is in there, because it's going to get flushed through here momentitos. Don't get this stuff on your paint. Brake fluid and partially brake cleaner. Brake cleaner isn't really aggressive on paint unless it's the chlorinated kind. Non-chlorinated, it's not horrible for your paint. You don't want to put it right on there because it will eat your clear coat. But if you get it dripped on there and then wipe it off real quick, you're okay. Brake fluid, on the other hand, that stuff will eat your paint fast. Silicone-based stuff, man, it will chew through your paint. And I've got a bad spot on this pocket right over here where this master cylinder had leaked while it was in storage in my warehouse. It dripped right down on this pocket, and the paint is all bubbled up down here. I'm not real happy about that, but man, what can you do? What can you do? Move on. Okay. Brass brush time. Clean some of this corrosion out because that is on the bolt. Hey, clean the bore pretty good. 45 cal works like a charm. Okay. I still didn't clean up my banjo bolt. I need to do that. I need to do that right now. Hey, it looks like new in there. Okay, I'm going to spray a bunch of brake cleaner down the line. And get my bucket under here because I'm sure it's going to drip right out of that slave cylinder on the bottom. Don't spray this in your eyes. Cover it up. Yeah, I got splashes and splatters. I have to clean that off before it damages what's left of my paint. Surprised the paint's holding up on this bike really well. 20 years old, man. It hasn't sat out in the sun all the time. It did for a while, but it's surprising that it looks as good as it does. Okay, that looks serviceable. I don't see any more crap right there at the beginning, so that's good. All right, time to clean up the banjo bolt. Well, yeah. Why do they call them banjo bolts? I never looked that up. Because they look like a banjo, or is there something used in banjos that looks like these bolts? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. So many useless commercial slogans and sayings that we have here in the U.S. Inquiring minds want to know. From the National Enquirer back in the 80s and 90s. They don't use that slogan anymore. There's so many of those silly slogans. You asked for it, you got it, Toyota. Ow! Steel bristles stab like a son of a bitch. Ow! Fucker. Ow, I'm bleeding, man. I just gave myself a blood test. I don't need to check my insulin levels, damn you. I certainly don't need a DOT 4 brake cleaner infusion. Ouch. Shit hurt. Wee. Gloves would probably help, but they wouldn't help for that. Damn little bristles stabbed through gloves just as easy as skin. Okay. Banjo bolt de-gussified. Spray out the orifice hole there. Make sure she's clean and free of old crusty brake fluid, and let's loose fit it. There are two washers, and I'm always very careful about the orientation of these things. They're flat on one side and slightly rounded on the other. Flat needs to go against the banjo fitting here. The rounded side goes toward the bolts. At least that's what I've always done, and that's what I've been told. So that's the way I do it. One on the front, one on the back. If you see previous tool marks, compression marks, try to repeat that. Hey, I lost the bolt. Yeah, that's how they are. So I try to repeat that when I put it back together, so I'm not missing the obvious or introducing a new crush point that is going to be potentially leaking from where the old one used to be. So that's that. I will get this thing tightened up and located, and yeah, there we go. Time to fill this and reset my slave cylinder down there in the caliper and start pumping this thing full of fluid. But I've got to put my front caliper on there with pads first. So yeah. Okay, I got the front caliper all cleaned up. Cleaned up the pistons as best I could without totally dismantling the caliper. The seals aren't leaking down here on the pots, so it's good. Scrubbed it all up. I don't know if that shows up on camera, but it's all nice and pretty. I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the front brake caliper and put it on the fork leg with the fresh EDC pads, and hopefully these are the right ones, because the ones that I had in my bin were not correct before. So we'll see if these FA261 double H's fit like they are reported to or reputed to. Throw this back in there. I will refill the rear line with fluid, that way I can pump it up and get prepared for bleeding. And then the front one still has to be pulled totally apart. So I'm probably going to go ahead and crack the bleeder valve for the front and drain out a little bit of the fluid so I can pull the master cylinder off of there and not pee brake fluid everywhere. So I'll drain it from here first. Makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay, pardon the lighting and the camera work here. I've got the tripod in front of me and my My headlamp is doing the strange bit behind the camera there. So look how bad this master cylinder is. It is just awful. Gotta get better light in there. This is the front master cylinder. It's the front master cylinder. I don't know if the camera is going to overexpose or if you can see that, but look how much sludge and crap is in there. And then the piston was totally not just corroded in with brake goo, but rust. I mean, full-on rust. Check out this plunger. It's just beyond nasty. I had to grab a hold of the end of the piston with pliers and yank and yank and yank just to get it to unseize from there. So yeah, this thing's toast. Now, one interesting note about the front rebuild kit. I'm trying not to mix up my parts, and I got too many things on the bench here. Let me move this back. This is the new rebuild kit. The piston O-rings did not come on the piston itself, so the O-rings are not already installed. So when you install these, you need to make sure you get them the correct direction. I believe they're the same size. No, they're not. There's a larger one and a smaller one, so I got to figure out. Larger one is going to be on this end over here, and the smaller one is going to be on that end. They've got to be facing the right way, and it's counterintuitive. You want them facing outward, the flange more outward, because they pump that direction on this side. And then this one, I'm not sure. I think this one is regular taper facing the outside. But anyway, I've got to look at the diagrams and figure out which direction those face, because I put them together wrong before. I prefer when they're already assembled, so there's no chance for me to screw it up. But anyway, long story short, consult the diagram and figure out which direction these wipes face, because you'll notice, don't you fall off, you'll notice that they're tapered. So you want to make sure that that taper is facing the right direction, otherwise you don't get hydraulic pumping action. Okay, so according to the diagrams, this is the outside where the lever pushes. This is inside toward brake pressure. Both wipes are wider spot facing inward, which makes sense because you're trying to push fluid that way. So as hydraulic pressure gets in underneath the seal, it pushes it outward against the bore and prevents a leak. So if you have either one of these backwards, it ain't gonna work. I thought maybe this one was facing that way, but it's not. Both of them are facing in. So wider facing in, narrower facing out. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's a day later. Need to zoom back, don't I? Oh, now we can get the whole bike in the frame. And all my messy garage in the background. Got the wheels on, got the brakes done. Took forever to bleed the brakes, but now I got good firm levers. That's as far as she'll go. Yeah, buddy. Good levers. Oh, yeah, good and tight. So it took forever to bleed those because there was so much air in the lines. I had pulled the master cylinders completely off and banjos and all that, so it was just air everywhere. But got a vacuum bleeder to the job and pumped it up and sucked a whole bunch of crap through, and the rear brake line had a bunch of crud in it. It was totally clogged. I wasn't able to draw anything out of it, and I cranked up the pressure on the vacuum bleeder as high as it would go and opened the bleeder valve on the caliper completely, and it was just barely pulling anything, and all of a sudden it went and it just sucked out all this brown and rusty crap. It was terrible. So anyway, I flushed the whole system out and got all that done. So anyway, I decided I wanted to do a smoke test and see if I could light the thing up. Hooked up my new battery in here, like my insulated box. That was because gelato couldn't make it home without melting. Long story. I'll go into that another day. Anywho, this is what I'm dealing with now, and I had this problem before. You can hear the fuel pump whine up. I even took my switch apart here because I was trying to figure out what's going on. So if I turn the start run off and then click it back on, you can hear the fuel pump come up. Fuel pump light says, okay, we're ready. Kind of, sort of, but I'm gonna have to do this with 3 hands here, and I don't have 3 hands. Let me use my toe. You get to see quasi toes in action. The monkey, monkey. Watch this. It doesn't start. Pulling the rear brake. The light goes out, but it doesn't start. So I'm gonna go troubleshooting this. I had this problem with it when I brought it home originally, and I figured out that the switch was a little bit goofed up over here on this side. I was having to hold it and kind of wiggle up and down, and then it would start. But the fact that it's blanking out the light, you can see, you know, headlight dipping out, that means the switch is working. So now I've got to work outward and figure out if it's this limit switch over here. I've got it disconnected right now because it's not doing anything even when it is connected. I don't know if that limit switch is bad. I need to get my VMM out and see if I've got continuity on this guy. So here, we'll do the toe action again. See, no start. So brake light works on this side of it, but the limit switch might not be okay. I got to find out. The next bit is I've got to go searching for my main fuses. There's a little fuse block down in here with a 30 amp main and a 10 amp sub fuse. So I'm going to go check both of those, make sure those fuses are okay. If they are good, then the next thing is the side stand switch down here. And if all those are okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bridge the connections across the whole loop and make sure that I've got good continuous path and try starting it again. If that still doesn't work, the only other thing I can think of is the bank angle sensor, which is kind of down here under the front. I'm going to blind the camera with the light, but there's a bank angle sensor in there that could be bad. If it's bad, it will never allow the starter to engage. So, welcome to the fun. Troubleshooting, old bike. It's been sitting too long, and now she don't want to start. So, I'll let you know what I figure out. Okay, I'll bring you along for a little of the troubleshooting here. See if we get lucky. I already tested the side stand switch right down here, and it's good. It's giving me good continuity. You know, when I drop the stand, it closes. Lift the stand, it's open. All good. The next one to test, I know the brake switches are doing what they're supposed to do. The next one to test is going to be the limit switch over here and see if that's our bad guy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to illustrate the workspace here. Kind of hard to do because the camera's on the wrong side of the bike, but it's got to be on that side of the bike for you to see what I'm doing. So I've just got, this doesn't have a continuity test in it, you know, the beep, but it'll null out on ohms when you've got a closed circuit, so you know that the switch is good when it reads 0 or pretty close to 0. So the next test here is, let's see if I can hold that up here and test the switch. Oh, get in the little nubbin, Mr. Nubbin. Okay, so the switch is open right now. I'm running out of hands. Let's see if I can do this while we're all looking. I need to hang that right in front of the camera. Stay there. This is an odd angle. Okay, so that's in there. She's going to stay. It's open. Click. There it is. Oh, is that my bad guy? I got a bad limit switch. This limit switch has to be engaged for the starter to engage. I looked at the wiring diagram and it goes through that. I mean, obviously it's a limit switch. On most scooters, the brake switch is what does it. So you've got either of your brakes that you could pull, left or right, you know, rear brake or front brake, to engage your starter circuit. But on the Silverwing, it's specific to the left grip over here. It's this dual function switch. So that's the bad guy. Make sure that so my meter is still good. It's zeroing out. But when I click these guys, oops, when I click this, it's still reading open. Oh, would you get on the little, there's a little nub in there. I'm trying to get it in there. Yep, that's the bad guy. Okay, cool. Well, then that's easy enough. So what I will do is just bridge this connection here. Let me see if I've got a suitable jumper, little piece of jumper wire in my electrical bin. Yeah, that'll do. Little chunk of wire with a spade on it. Really all I need is that spade. I'm going to stick that spade in these terminals to close that loop. It's not going to cause any other problem with it being constantly closed because that's only for the starter circuit. I guess if I hit the starter while the engine's running, that would be bad, but I won't do that. Okay, so now those two are bridged. We should be able to engage the starter now. Let's find out if we have success. If we do, we'll be a happy camper. Get that out of my way. Let's see what we get. Okay, I hear whine whine. Fuel pumps up. I won't need to pull the brake. All I need to do is hit the starter. Are we going to get lucky? Oh, yeah, buddy. You hear how fast that thing started? Oh my God. That was the first time it's turned over in 2+ years. Oh, wow. Sweet. It runs. Of course, I don't want to stick my leg into the output shaft over here on the side of the bike. There's no variator attached to it. It's just the raw output shaft. But yeah, she's running. I sucked the fuel out of it the other day, put about a gallon of treated lawnmower fuel in there that's got the stabilizer in it, so that's what it's running on right now. Burn along just fine. Sweet! Okay, so, oh yeah, it's burning off some, ooh, stinky. Smells like it's burning off cobwebs off the header down there, because it stinks. Probably mud dauber nests for all I know. Ooh, yeah, that's stinky. Cool. Excellent. All right. It runs. She lives. I will actually let it warm up a bit. I'll let it get up to operating temp and shut it down, and then I'll change the oil. Because the oil definitely needs changed. It's been sitting in there for way too long. Let it get good and warm so I can dump that oil out. What else? I'm on track now. The one thing I can't find, I lost. I don't know where it is. I bought it. I know I bought it. Right before Cannonball was the handlebar cover. My other one is busted. This is the original one. It just decayed and broke away. Pieces are falling out of it. So I'm really hoping I can find the other one. Otherwise, I'm going to have to glue this thing together somehow just to ride with it for this trip. So I'm not looking at that ugliness, but hey, whatever it takes, right? I don't know what I did with it. I've got a brand new one of these. It's 90 bucks. They're hard to find. I guess I could order another one. I don't think it would be here in 2 days. All right. Excellent. Yeah, it's idling down. Sitting right there where it's supposed to, about 1050, 1100 RPM. She's happy. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to let this sit here and chooch for a few minutes, and then I'll put a drain pan under it, drain the oil out, and filter, and that's it. And then tomorrow, it's already, I don't know, like 9 o'clock now. Tomorrow, I will work on this clutch over here. I'm not happy with it. Bring it over. Let you see the side of the engine spinning. I don't know if I can get you down on level with it, but there's the output shaft just spinning away with nothing on it. It sounds a little rattly. Oh, I got a bushing spinning on the end of that. I'm not going to reach for it right now. There's a bushing sitting on the end of that shaft that's not compressed, so it's kind of wobbling and warbling. So yeah, no worries. Cool. Game on. Okay, welcome back to the Garage of Chaos. I had a little bit of time today and came out and pulled the clutch bell off of the Silverwing. I'm trying to do this one-handed here. Pardon me. I did not have the correct tool, so I had to use a combination of two different three-jawed pullers and extended the arms, you know, to be longer to get in there. And then I had to assemble the little hooks in place because they wouldn't fit in here with you know, arm assembled. So long story short, it was a long, painful process of trying to get all those pieces fit together and situated, and then use the you know, the screw pusher here to yank all that off there. But anyway, I got it off, and now I'm going to finish cleaning up the inside of the CVT housing. Cleaned up the engine output shaft a little bit the other night after my smoke test, and I started leaking a little bit of oil out of this bushing there. This is the crankshaft output seal. So this bushing goes in there, and it's supposed to be located firmly against the engine, but after I let it run and warm up so I could change the oil, that collar was slowly backing itself out, and I noticed some oil dribbling down in here. Oops. I'm sure you're not supposed to run the thing with the variator off of it, but I did. So anyway, now I'm going to go through prepping the original clutch and sand the bell and the shoes just a little bit, give them a good grip, and can this thing, or keep it as a souvenir, but it's got a massive ridge in there. I'll try to get close-ups of it later after I finish disassembling this, but man, you should feel that chasm right there. It's, oh man, it's got to be like 1/8 of an inch deep all the way around where those shoes were just eating it. So anyway, clean up the variator, clean up the torque drive, put this thing back on the road. Okay, good morning all. I'm back at it, and I got my drive bell, the clutch bell, pressed back on the sleeve. I notice all the little PVC pipe shavings here. I couldn't find my previous PVC tool, so I went over to Ace Hardware near me and got some 1.5 inch Schedule 40, you know, real thick gauge stuff. Had them chop that off to 4 inches. Probably should start with 4.25 inches. There's a thread on the Silverwing 600 for them that I used years ago to make this tool, and I just did it again. But I'm finding that the diameter that they said, or the length that they said, of 100 millimeters is a little bit too short, and you end up having to use a ton of washers and spacers. But I got it done. I'll put all the dimensions of the washers and stuff that I used. They didn't have any big metric washers, M22s and M27s over there at Ace Hardware, so I just used some SAE stuff and these UBG, whatever the heck size that is. I used several of those, 5 of those at one point, but usually just 4 of them, because these fit up to that taper right there. So once you butt out against that, you can't press these any further, so you have to use less of these and more of these larger diameter shims, and I'll put the dimensions of those. What are they here? I can just do it on camera. What are they? They are 1.25 by 1 7/8. So 1.25 inch inner diameter is about 27 millimeters, which is what the old article said. So anyway, you just you keep adding tons and tons of shims on here. I'm trying to do this one-handed. You just keep stacking them on there. Looks like a crazy kids project. So you just stack a bunch of them on there, and then use your original clutch nut to drive that down. And you want to drive just far enough to where you can get the circlip ring exposed there. So I'm going to spray that off, get all the little bits of shaved PVC out of there, and put the clutch on this bad boy. Okay, so the CVT is all back together. I got a brand new Malossi belt in there. It's rotated, you can't see the logo. It's on the underside now. So new Malossi belt. The OEM clutch and clutch bell are behind that. This guy's torqued down to the 40 or 42 foot-pounds. That guy's torqued down to the 76 foot-pounds, and it's ready to go back together. So I got my cover that's pretty much cleaned out. It's still a little smarmy, but I'm not going to waste any more brake cleaner because we've already gone through almost 3 cans of brake cleaner trying to clean out this whole drive line here. So anyway, I'm going to button it up, put the cover back on it, do another smoke test, make sure the rear wheel spins like it's supposed to, no nasty clutch noises, and then moving on to the front of the bike, I've got to replace one more turn signal up here, put my windshield back on, and take this thing over to get it inspected so I can register it and ride on the road without riding dirty. Okay, putting the cover back on, I thought I would just do a little community service announcement here for remembering where the various bolts go, because you end up with a big pile of bolts and you can't remember which ones go in which spots. The way that I remember it is these silver ones, which are 6mm by 30. Hey, focus, man, focus. It won't focus. There it goes. 6 by 32 millimeter. The silver ones go underneath the black cover in a line right here. So 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one goes back here in the back. So that's where the silver ones go. Then the black ones that you end up with, 5 or 6 of them, those go through the covers. So you put the back cover on first and then the front cover. So back cover, you've got the little Allens that screw into here. They're flat, you know, whatever you call them, panhead Allen focus, 5 mil. Those go in the rear cover down in this section, and then the front cover goes over everything. So that's the order. Silver ones, 1, 2, 3, 4 back here at the back, and then the black ones go in the rest of the perimeter that's not already screwed down. But before I put all this back together, I got the main bolts back in the variator cover, but before I put on these covers, I'm going to check my final drive oil, and I've already pulled out the 5 mil really long crazy bolt here. That is the check hole right here, and no oil is coming out, so that means I'm a little bit low. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and drain it with the lower drain bolt that's down there on the bottom, just a little bit out of camera view, and drain it out and put some more in there. And it just takes the same as the engine, you know, same 10W40, 10W30, whatever you put in the engine is fine. I change it out about every 2 oil changes, and this one's been sitting a while, so it's time to do it anyway. I think I've only got about 3,000 miles on that final drive, but I'll go ahead and put a little more in there. Okay, laying down under the scoot here. That's the drain bolt, so it's forward of the curve. It's almost dead even with the back of the clutch pulley there. So down on the bottom, it's 12 millimeter bolts. This guy right here. Pull that out and drain it, and it's about 1/3 of a quart is what this holds, so you need a catch pan for sure, and that's really black nasty stuff. There's no oil filter or anything in these, and they don't have a magnetic drain bolt, so it's a good idea to change them fairly frequently. That's why I do it every couple of oil changes, so about every 6,000 to 8,000 miles is when I do it. So anywho, that's that. I'm going to let this drip dry. Another little trick, I've got to hold the oil pan, so I'm not going to do it here on camera, but what I do is I rotate the rear wheel a little bit, and notice it's moving my oil pan. If you spin the rear wheel by hand, it helps evacuate some of that oil in there and lets you get a little bit cleaner of an oil change. So anyway, I'm going to cap that up and put another 320 mil, about 1/3 of a quart in through this hole. I've got a little squeeze pump that I fill it with, and yeah, there we go. So cover's back on, final drive oil has been changed out. I think it was a little low, which is a good thing I checked it, and it was very black, yuck. So anyway, I think it's time for a smoke test. I'm going to put the variator cover back on in a minute, but I want to see and hear operation of it in there before the damping of the cover is on there, because it makes things a lot quieter. You can't hear problems that might be coming to bite you. Did I hear the fuel pump? Yep, it's just quiet. Okay. I don't need to push my left brake because I've got my little pigtail on there, so here we go. Hey, fires right up. Variator spinning, not making any crazy noises, so that's good news. The frame rate makes it look like that thing is spinning backwards. It's not, it's spinning forward. That's crazy. Yeah. I put my engine back together and it's running in reverse now. Whoops. Yep, it's normal belt flutter that I hear, and I'm going to go ahead and seat the belt and strain it a bit, pull my brake and run up against it. Seat the clutch, scuff everything up a bit, and now I'll let it spin. Hey, we're going fast, standing still. Okay, well that's a success. Sounds good, smells good. Actually, it smells a little rich and nasty. It needs to be run out. It'll be time to take it over to the fuel station and fill it up. And put my windshield back on and take it over, get it inspected and registered, and start my trip to Arkansas.